Thank you for joining me again this evening. Isn't it stuffy? My name is Katie. For those of you that weren't here last week or haven't taken part in any of the antenatal classes at UHCW yet. So yeah, my name is Katie. I'm a midwife and it's my job to give you guys some information now antenatally. So whilst you are pregnant, so that when it's your turn to have your baby, hopefully you feel a bit more informed. Hopefully that helps you feel a bit more confident and empowered as well. We want you to feel like you're in control and you know what your options are, you know what your choices are, and you recognise that everything in maternity, as I said last week, same thing, everything in maternity is your choice. We are there to advise you. Ultimately, everything is your choice. So we'll get started. So this is part two. So we're going to talk about some postnatal things, what happens after you've had your baby. And that kind of looks a bit like this. So we'll talk about the golden hour. That's the first initial hour after birth, what happens, what that looks like, you know, what the significance is of the golden hour. I'll talk you through the postnatal guide to Ward 25, so what happens upstairs on the ward, what it looks like, what it consists of. We'll go through a little bit of feeding baby, hand expressing. I've got a nice video to show you on hand expressing. What happens when you actually go home and the community teams come to see you at home, what happens on those visits at home. A little bit about mental health, a bit about pelvic floor and pelvic health, and then I've got some videos to show you with regards to Parentcraft basics. Just to pre-warn you, one of the videos for some reason isn't working on the Google Workspace, but in the link that I've sent you, the email that I've just sent you, again, if you don't have it from last week, if you're new this week, that's got a document on there which has hyperlinks to the videos from last week and this week as well, so you can refer back to those. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, pre-recorded session, then you will need to use those links because they don't play in real time when you're watching it. Later on, once watching the recording. So yeah, and that also in that document will have the link to the video. I want to say it's the bathing baby video. I'm not sure. We'll see when we get there. But that one, for some reason, isn't working on Google Workspace. So a bit of homework would be to check that video out on that document at the end of the session. And then I'll just talk to you about the Safe Sleep Guidelines. Same as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat. If you want to ask me anything privately, you have my email address. Do feel free to drop me an email. I'll do my best to read them now, but obviously presenting and checking my emails can be quite difficult. So it might be that I have to have a look at the end of the session. So just bear with me. Okay, so we'll jump straight into it then. The golden hour. It sounds a bit exciting, doesn't it? Well, it is exciting. The golden hour is basically the immediate period, hour after you've had your baby, after you've birthed your baby. It's when we jump straight into the postnatal period, and it comprises or consists of a few different things. You might not have heard of the golden hour, you might know a little bit about it, but this essentially is what it is. So, like I said, it includes some important elements, which are delayed cord clamping. So we briefly spoke about that last week, the video with Marley explained the delayed cord clamping. So that's when we allow the blood from the umbilical cord to travel up to baby. And then once the cord has stopped pulsating or it goes completely white, we will cut the cord. Bearing in mind, this is for a healthy term baby. Okay, for a premature baby, it might be that we have to cut the cord a little bit sooner. It all depends on what's going on. But for otherwise healthy term baby, delayed cord clamping is always advisable. Some skin to skin contact. So that is when baby is placed onto mum's chest or dad's chest or a birthing partner's chest. So their bare skin on your bare skin. That is what skin to skin is, pretty simple. And that's for hopefully at least 1 hour after birth. The performance of newborn assessments can be done on the maternal abdomen. So things like an assessment that we make after birth. So little one, as soon as they're born, the midwives will make an automatic assessment. We're looking at their tone, their colour, they're taking their first cry, that first gasp of air. Have they transitioned from intrauterine life to extrauterine life? That's basically what we're looking for. We don't need to be separating mum and baby to do that. We can do that whilst you are having skin to skin with your baby. We don't need to be taking the little one off to the resuscitator in the corner of the room, unless little one does need some extra support. We can be doing this whilst you are in skin to skin with your baby. And we should be delaying non-urgent tasks for at least that 1 hour after birth, because we know that actually that skin to skin and the golden hour is way more beneficial. When I talk, or when we talk about or think about these non-urgent tasks, we're thinking like weighing the baby, getting the baby dressed. Yeah, essentially that's what we're looking at. I don't know why we all fixate on baby's weight after birth, but we do. It's not going to change in that first hour. Even if you do feed your little one, we will obviously encourage you to feed your little one, but the weight isn't going to change. So don't panic about that. We can do all of that stuff after that first hour, okay? And also this can help and includes the early initiation of breastfeeding. So mum and baby, You know, mum is home for baby and baby is home for mum. And actually after birth, which can be quite a stressful event for your little one, if you imagine they're inside of you all nice and warm, it's dark in there, it's quiet in there, all of a sudden they're being squeezed through a dark canal, or if you were to have cesarean section, they're coming out through the sunroof. You know, it can be a little bit stressful for them. They're, you know, unsure what's going on, and their stress hormones can rise. Their home is their mum. So actually being skin to skin with mum is going to help to calm your baby down. They can smell you and they can hear your heartbeat when they're in skin to skin with you. And that is what they're used to. That is home from home for them. So in turn, by doing that, will help to lower your baby's cortisol levels, help to rise their oxytocin levels, the love hormone, and that all starts to help with the bonding process between mum and baby. Okay, so it helps to relax baby. It also helps to relax mum as well and release that good oxytocin. Now, midwives are really good at putting hats on babies. We're really, really quick to put a hat on a baby because when they're born, obviously they're going to be wet because they are floating around inside of the fluid, amniotic fluid. So when they're born, initially they are wet. Now we will dry baby down and then we will replace those wet towels or damp towels with nice dry towels. But their hair, if they have hair, is obviously going to remain a little bit wet. We don't want babies to become cold. If babies become cold, they will struggle with their feeding, their blood sugars can drop, and it can cause a whole other 2-hour session on a poorly newborn. So we want to keep baby warm to help stabilize them, to help keep them healthy. And what we do is put a hat on because your baby will actually lose around 10% of their body heat via their head because their heads are the largest sort of surface area. And as I said, if their hair's wet, via evaporation, they're going to lose up to 10% of the body heat. But actually, if you are in skin to skin with your baby, we don't need to be applying hats. Your baby should be kept warm enough with you by those blankets and also just purely from your body heat. And actually, it's really important that mum can smell her baby so that she can then produce the oxytocin. And this is going to help then in turn with that initiation of breastfeeding. Okay, so just remind us, okay, if you would like this golden hour, and I really hope that all of you will, as long as everything is fine, and please just remind the midwife, you know, I would like my golden hour. I don't need the hat on baby's head. I'm going to keep baby nice and warm myself. If for any reason you need to be separated, absolutely that hat is a good idea. But if you're having skin to skin with your baby, then please remove the hat so you can smell their head. Now, like I said, you will be kept nice and warm and toasty. And actually, we also will protect your privacy and your dignity. So don't worry. What we do essentially is when baby's about to be born, if you have any clothing on, say it be a nightie, a dressing gown, a hospital gown, what we would do is lift the gown up or you even remove the gown and then place baby straight onto your chest as they are born. Now, if you want us to dry the baby off, that's absolutely fine. We will ask you at the time. It's also something to write in your birthing plan as well. And again, if you do write that in your birthing plan and actually you think, no, I just want baby straight on my chest, it changes, that's fine. You just let us know. As I said last week, with regards to your birthing plan, these things are interchangeable. You are allowed to change your mind about anything. So if your mind changes at any point, just let us know. But essentially what we would do, or what we like to do, is place baby straight onto your chest, and that's when we then go into that first hour after birth, which is the golden hour. Now, if we leave baby alone, as in we keep our hands away from baby, we're not interfering, you know, there's plenty for the midwives to be doing after that first hour of birth, again, as long as mum and baby are both happy, they're both healthy. And if we leave baby alone, what they will do is they'll lie on your chest for a little bit, and then eventually they'll start to lift their head up a little bit, start to bob their head about. It might be that they're making contact with your breasts, okay? This is going to hopefully help to stimulate the breasts, and your body and your brain start to talk to one another, and this is when an early initiation of breastfeeding will then start, hopefully. What babies do is they actually crawl towards the breast. You might be sat there thinking, there's no way, there's absolutely no way, but they do. It's called the breastfeeding crawl. And what they do is they start to crawl towards the breast, towards the nipple. Now, when you're pregnant, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, but when you're pregnant, your nipples, they do actually get bigger and they get darker. And that's because your baby can only see around 30 centimetres in front of their faces themselves. So what they're doing is literally they are looking for the bullseye. Also, the nipple itself, the areola, it smells like amniotic fluid. So again, this is home from home for them. This will be attracting them. So they will start that little crawl towards the breast. They'll take themselves off towards the breast. Once they get there, they will bob their heads around a bit more. They might stick their tongue out, have a bit of a lick, just thinking, what's going on here? And then when they feel happy and they feel comfortable to do so, they will lift their head up, they will open their mouth, and they will latch onto the breast themselves. Now, we can give them a little helping hand if they need it, but hopefully, fingers crossed, they shouldn't need it. They should be doing this by themselves. Again, if we just leave them alone to do what they're naturally, their instincts are telling them to do. It's a very like primal thing, and it is actually a real thing. I saw some lovely videos, and I'm going to see if I can find them. The last time they took it off the internet, but I'm going to see whether I can find some and send them across, because it is fascinating, because you're probably trying to visualize it in your head. But there's nothing like actually seeing the real thing and understanding what they're actually doing. It's incredible, because this is a brand newborn baby, and I think we all think of little newborns as being quite defenseless, but we are animals at the end of the day, and their instinct is to feed. So they will start to crawl towards the breast, and they will feed. If your little one is really sleepy for any reason after birth as well, then we can give them a helping hand. But this is essentially what all takes place within that first hour, the golden hour. Now, also just bear in mind, we will be waiting for the placenta to come out during this period as well. So you might be thinking, this is like a long cuddle. Yeah, it is pretty long, but there's lots that go on in that first hour after birth, and actually you'll blink and it will be over. And we're talking about skin to skin contact and this comforting, nurturing relationship between mum and baby in this first hour, but actually these things actually can take place a bit later on as well. If you want to have skin to skin with your baby for comfort, not even just like to feed them, then you can absolutely do so. Okay, we're talking about in terms of this hour, but when you go home, these things actually still apply at home. If your breast milk starts to dwindle, or baby is really fractious, and they might start teething, or you might give them their vaccinations and they become a bit irritable, skin to skin contact has been proven to calm the baby down on both sides, for mum and for baby. Now, if mum doesn't feel up to having this skin to skin straight away, that's fine. Actually, dads are welcome to do this too. You can put the baby down your top, dad, or take your top off, and we can put a blanket over you, because like I said, we do protect your privacy, your dignity. We can make sure you're all covered in there, and we don't leave you like really, really exposed or anything like that. But if you wanted to have skin to skin contact, actually research shows us and tells us that oxytocin production also occurs in dads, and it's all about early baby brain development, creating a safe and secure environment for your baby. Oxytocin allows your baby to feel safe and secure. It floods the brain. If you think about, like, this is good. I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but just stick with me. If you think about when you Google image search the Earth, okay, so it's like a POV, point of view. You're looking down on the Earth. You've got the darkened, like shadowy area. Think of that as being oxytocin. And think about, sorry, wait, hold on. Let me try and, have I explained that right? Yeah, think about that as being oxytocin. As the oxytocin, or the nighttime, the shadow, starts to go over the Earth, starts to encompass the Earth, you see all like the little lights will start to flicker on, yeah, because it's now nighttime, so we flicker or put our lights on, yeah? Think about that from space. Those little lights are basically like the baby's neural pathways. Neural pathways are parts of the baby's brain that need to fire up to develop and form connections. And again, this is going to help to support the baby's brain development. It's going to help to support them as an infant, as a child, and then as an adult. And all we have to do is kickstart oxytocin. We have to help these neural pathways fire up, and oxytocin is the key to that. They are born with around 25% of those neural pathways already fired up. We have to help them get to the other 75%, okay? And we do that in the first sort of 2.5 to 3 years of their life, and oxytocin is the number one thing to do that, to help them do that. So this is why the golden hour and skin to skin is so important, whether that be with mum or with dad. Obviously with mum, it has other benefits, but with dad, also oxytocin is still produced in both of you, and it will help to hopefully secure a more positive parenting journey for dad as well as mum. Okay, so if you are up for it, please make sure you are facilitating the golden hour. And as I said, pop it onto your birthing plan, talk about it with your midwife, and make sure that she is on the same page as you, so we all know exactly what to do and what to expect straight after birth. Okay, hopefully that's made some sense. Now, I'm going to show you a little video. First video of the night, guys. So hand expressing, if you don't know what that is, it's a really good skill. It's the skill of manually removing milk from the breast. Okay, it takes away the need of a pump. It's more gentle on the breast. You can do it antenatally, so whilst you're pregnant. It's also, you can do it postnatally as well. So it is a really good skill to learn. If you were unfortunate to suffer with something called mastitis, or even just like blocked ducts, milk ducts within the breasts, this is a really good way to actually get rid of them, to help them out in a gentle way, because you're going to actually massage the area and express the milk out using your hand. Okay, It can also just really help women come to terms with their breast, handling the breast, getting used to, they are made. We have breasts to to feed our baby, and sometimes we sort of forget about that. So it's actually a really nice skill to learn, even if you're not really planning on breastfeeding, or if you're not quite sure, and for loads of other reasons. Now, hopefully, you've got a Mothers and Others guide. If you haven't got a Mothers and Others guide, we will give you one straight after birth anyway, okay, in your discharge pack. And there is a whole page on there with regards to hand expressing. But the video I'm going to show you is going to talk about antenatal hand expressing. Essentially, it's the same way, same mechanism, how you do it, exactly the same way that you do it. But she's going to talk to you about doing it now whilst you're pregnant. But like I said, you can do this postnatally. If, for example, when you're on the postnatal ward after you've had your baby and little one again is quite sleepy and we want to try and wake them up, feed them, it might be that we recommend doing a bit of hand expressing just to coax them into that first feed, okay? So essentially it is the same thing, but the video is going to explain it in an antenatal fashion. I'm going to show you the video and stop talking now. If you have any questions, like I said, pop them into the chat. It's a really nice video, so sit back, enjoy, and hopefully you'll learn something nice and new. Here we go. There we go. So I find that to be a really informative video, and hopefully that's helped make a little bit more sense and explain a bit more about hand expressing, what it is, why we would recommend it, and how you do it. Now, if you are unsure whether this is something that you want to do or you're able to do, I would strongly suggest having a conversation with your community midwife or doctors if you are high risk, and just getting them just to make sure that it's going to be safe for you to do so, should you wish. Now, if you haven't got any of those syringes, or you're not quite sure where to get them from, if you just ask any member of staff in the hospital for milk syringes, they'll know what you're talking about, and we can supply you with those. Or if you can get them online, as long as they have the stop cap at the end for hygiene reasons, that's totally fine. Now, we also do have infant feeding workshops that you can find on Eventbrite, which is where you booked this, hopefully. And they are led by my colleague Jazz, who is our infant feeding midwife, the lead midwife for infant feedings. She's also located, can be found on Ward 25, so has an office on there. And her and her team will actually come and sit at the bedside with you as well to support you in those first few hours, days after birth. If you will choose to breastfeed your baby, they can provide that support at the bedside. If you find that you are struggling when you get home, we also do have the Coventry Infant Feeding Team, and you will have the phone number for them as well before you go home anyway, in a pack called your discharge pack. I'll explain a bit more about that shortly. But in there's loads of information, including Coventry Infant Feeding Team details, and they will actually come out and see you at home and support you with breastfeeding in the community. They are also NHS funded, so it is free for you to use their service, as long as you live in Coventry or Rugby. Okay, now, there's loads of benefits to breastfeeding baby, okay? There's loads of benefits, and Jazz will go through them in an hour and a half session herself, but I just wanted to pick out a few of the interesting ones that I thought were useful to talk to you about and just to inform you about. So, exclusively breastfeeding helps to give your baby all of the nutrients that they will need up until 6 months or beyond. We say 6 months because by 6 months of age, we expect you to start to wean baby onto solids and move away from solely just breastfeeding or bottle feeding. If you choose bottle feed baby, we'll just talk about breastfeed today. Yeah, but if you actually want to breastfeed for longer than 6 months, you're absolutely able to do so as a supplementation to solids. I've come across women who have breastfed their babies until the age of like 3, even 4. It is entirely your journey, your choice, your baby, your body. If you want to breastfeed beyond 6 months, please go for it. Knock yourself out, go for it. It helps to protect little one from infections and diseases and passes antibodies over from mum to baby. So before I was a midwife, I used to work in neonates. I was a neonatal nurse, and I learnt this over there actually. When a mum is sat in an environment, she will start to build up antibodies to any bacteria that she is exposed to within 30 minutes. Those antibodies will then pass over to her breast milk, and baby will then receive those when feeding and ingesting that breast milk, and then take on those antibodies themselves, which I think is an incredible thing if you think about it. Our bodies are amazing, and we make the milk for our babies to support them with nutrients for hydration, and then also to guard them against infections or diseases as well. We actually found during COVID that the breast milk was changing colour. It was going from being like a milky white that we're used to using and drinking in our tea and coffee or cereal to actually like a olivey green colour. And it was a bit confusing to begin with, and then the tests were obviously done on the milk, and they found that actually it was the milk was actually containing antibodies against COVID-19. It was just something that we hadn't seen before, and it was actually causing the breast milk to change colour. Completely safe for babies to feed, to drink, but it looked a little, because it was different. Everyone was a bit, oh, what's going on here? When we looked into it, it was these antibodies that we had never seen before that was changing the breast milk, the colour, which is incredible. As well as helping baby, it also has maternal benefits. So for mum, can help include protection from diseases later. I can't speak tonight, guys. Again, from diseases later on in life, such as ovarian cancer and osteoporosis, as well as helping to reduce the likelihood of little one from developing asthma or obesity as well. So lifelong benefits for mum and for baby. Definitely helps to build a stronger loving bond with your little one. This is all to do with the oxytocin production, having that one-to-one time with your baby, hopefully uninterrupted one-on-one time with your baby. And when you're sitting down to breastfeed baby, we would recommend making sure you've got drinks and snacks around, get your TV remote or a book or something, if you've got your hands free, if you've managed to figure out how to breastfeed the baby with one arm once you become a pro. But making sure that that is uninterrupted time. It's time that you can sit down, enjoy that part of your day, connect with your baby and feed them. The babies are only small for a very short amount of time, and it's really about sort of embracing that, um, and enjoying that time. You blink and then they've grown up, and then that newborn stage is gone. So enjoy it, really soak it in, and if you can step out, sit down, take that time interrupted, absolutely use that as a great excuse to do so, because there really is no other time in your life that you'll ever experience something like that. And just quickly then, the constituents of milk, it does change over time according to the needs of your baby. And you'll find this as well, like with the change of the seasons. As I've already said, they use or drink milk for nutritional purposes, but also for hydration purposes. So in the summer, we find that babies, they tend to feed more because they're thirsty, to stop them from becoming dehydrated. They're thirsty. So you'll find that mums who are breastfeeding will become really thirsty themselves. This is going to help their bodies then produce that breast milk or extra breast milk, and baby will likely want to be on the breast a lot more frequently than they would be in the cooler months. And for some parents, they can find this really challenging because being in weather like heat, like today, with a baby stuck on your chest all that time, it can be quite tiring. But just rest assured, this is the reason why. It's because they are using the milk and they're ingesting the milk, not just for nutritional purposes, but also for hydration purposes only. So this is a normal behaviour for your baby. Now, I mentioned just about responding to your baby. It's so important that we are doing something called responsive parenting. We are recognizing the needs of our little one, learning the needs of our little one, and responding to those needs for your little one. This, again, as I've already mentioned when we were talking about the golden hour, but this is, again, all to do with that oxytocin. It's all to do with your baby's brain development and supporting your baby's brain development. Now, I know for myself, I definitely experienced this, and talking to friends and family, they did too, especially the older generations. We'd hear things like, don't be picking your baby up, they're crying, they're trying to manipulate you, you're going to make a rod for your own back. It's simply not true. Your baby will cry. Okay, this is a known fact. This is normal. Your baby will cry. It's how they communicate with us. They can't speak to us the way that we would speak to one another. Younger children, obviously, as they're getting older, they will start to develop that skill. But for a baby, they can't speak to you, so they will cry. And you will learn their different types of cries for different various reasons. They will cry because they're cold. They will cry because they're hungry. They will cry because they want their nappy changing. They will cry because they just want some attention. And sometimes babies just cry. This is normal. If you find yourself getting frustrated with it, and we've all been there, that happens. There's nothing wrong with putting your baby down in a safe space, walking away, or passing baby to somebody else, walking away, taking 5 minutes to have a breather, and then coming back. What we don't want you to do is just ignore your baby, become so frustrated you ignore the baby. We ask you to respond to your baby. If you find that it's becoming overstimulating, overwhelming, then ask somebody else to step in, or take yourself off briefly and then come on back, okay? We don't want you to ignore your baby's needs. By doing so, again, you're going to help the oxytocin, you're going to help those babies' neural pathways, you're going to help your little one develop a more secure, safe understanding of the world. And again, this is going to help them in infancy, in childhood, and in adulthood. This is a lifelong thing, that's going to be beneficial if you respond to your little one, okay? Like I said, definitely rely and lean on friends and family if and when you need it. What's the saying? It takes a village. It's so true, okay? But we want you to try to respond to your little one. Now, I have another video to show you now. This is from a professor in Harvard. His name's Jack, and he's the expert really with regards to responsive parenting, baby brain development. He's going to explain a little bit about the serve and return theory, what that is, and how we can help support that at home, to give you some ideas of how you might want to respond to your little one, how you might respond to your little one, playing games with them, and all about reciprocal relationships. It's not too long of a video, but it is a really interesting one, so I hope you enjoy. Here we go. There we go. So again, I think that's a really informative, positive video, and it just helps to explain, the importance there of relationship building between babies and their parents. Perfect. So we'll move on to Ward 25. So as you already know, hopefully, Ward 25 is our postnatal ward. It's where you go after you've had your baby. You've had hopefully that first initial golden hour, potentially a little bit longer, and then we would usually transfer you from labour ward, or if you were to have a caesarean section or be in theatre for any other reason, we would move you directly from there upstairs. Now, we don't go through the main corridors, you'll be happy to know. We do have our own private lifts from labour ward upstairs. It basically brings you out onto Ward 24, which is our antenatal ward. It's a big long corridor with 24 on one end, 25 on the other end, and it's then separated by some double doors. So the most people really you're going to see are likely to be the midwives, potentially expectant parents, maybe some students if you have students on the ward, and other staff members really. You won't be there being sort of wheeled through the main corridors where you might bump into your friend or your boss or somebody, lingering around in the corridors. It is private, okay? So Ward 25 is basically, like I said, it's a long corridor, and there's rooms that sort of spider off the corridor. So we have 6 bays. A bay is a large room basically with 4 beds in. Those beds are all then separated or divided by using some curtains that you are welcome to pull around the bed space if you would like to for some privacy. In each bay there's also a shared bathroom, and the bathrooms are just for our mums, okay, in that bay. It's a shared bathroom just for the ladies. If your birthing partners need to use the bathroom or any visitors need to use the toilets, then we will have to ask them to step off the ward and use them just outside on the main corridors. We will orientate you to the ward anyway when you get there, and this is obviously just to make you aware of these things now, so it's not so surprising when you get there. You have an idea of what to expect. We then have 6 side rooms, and these are basically single rooms with an ensuite bathroom. Those side rooms we sort of dish out based on clinical needs. So if, for example, we were expecting you to stay with us for longer than a usual stay, which is generally 1 night in hospital and then you go home the next day, and that's the same for a normal delivery and also for a caesarean section. 1 night in hospital, then you go home the next day. But if we anticipated you having a longer stay with us, say for example you may have an infection that we're treating, baby might develop jaundice, which we have to treat, stuff like that really. So we think you might stay longer than the 1 night, then we would likely try to offer you a side room if we have one available. The thing I want to point out with side rooms is that there is a possibility that if you are in a side room, we might have to ask you to come out, move out onto the main bay. And that just basically means that somebody else has come through that needs that room more than you. Okay, so please don't tell us off. We're doing our best. Again, it's just to give you a heads up. That's sometimes the case. We have to do that. And then we also have 4 family rooms. Family rooms, again, are single rooms. They're a bit bigger than our side rooms, but we have 4 of those. And they are en suites, and they are situated just slightly again off of the ward on the corridor as we approach the main area within Ward 25. We keep those rooms free for families who may be separated from their babies. Say for example, little one might be in our neonatal unit, they may have needed to be transferred out to another neonatal unit, or for our bereaved families as well, just because obviously it's not appropriate for those parents to be on the wards with babies who have their parents who have their little ones with them at their bedside. Okay, that's what the family rooms are for if you hear about them. Now, visiting times. You can have 1 birthing partner stay with you 24 hours a day. Now, as I mentioned last week, same again this week, we don't provide food for our birthing partners, and we also don't have beds for our birthing partners. So it would be a case of sleeping in one of those really comfortable chairs next to the bedside. We do have some recliners. It's very much a lucky dip as to which whether you get one of the recliners. There's like 2 or 3. There's not many. Generally, it's just sort of like an armchair. I don't think they're too bad, but I have never slept in one, so maybe bring in a blanket or some pillows or something if your birthing partner is planning on sleeping over. They are also welcome to go home and come back the next day. If they do choose to go home, don't worry, we are there to support you overnight. The staff, obviously, we do work night shifts as well, so you'll have midwives and support workers on the ward, and we will also give you a call bell. So if you do need any assistance, you just use your call bell and we will come to the bedside to check everything's okay and assist with you if you need it. Okay. Now, visiting for everybody else is just between 7 and 8 p.m. We just give the 1 hour. So we're not like the main side. In the main hospital, on the medical side of things, the visiting time is between 2 and 8 p.m. But in maternity, it's just between 7 and 8 p.m. And that's because we want to reduce the foot traffic on the ward for various reasons. Mainly, after you've had a baby, you will want to recover. You'll want to rest. You will likely be in some pain. You will be bleeding. And you will probably want to be learning how to care for your baby, whether that be breastfeeding, changing nappies, whatever, okay, with the assistance of our staff members. So we try to sort of reduce the traffic to allow you to have that protected time with your baby for your recovery, okay? Sometimes parents can find it really difficult to break the news to, wider family members, actually, I'm not ready for visitors. So we take that out of your hands, we take the awkwardness away, blame the staff, blame us, and then you won't get told off because they want to come and visit you in the hospital. Now, if you have children already, you are more than welcome to bring them to the hospital to see their sibling. They need to be supervised though by an adult, okay? You can't drop the kids off and then go off dance. You have to stay with them. But we don't permit any other children on the ward. So, for example, if you have a visitor, like, your nephews or your nieces come to visit you, unfortunately, we will not be allowed to permit them onto the ward. It's just not the most child-friendly area. It can get really busy, it can get really noisy, and it can also get really hot up there. It's not too child-friendly, so unfortunately we don't allow any other children onto the ward. Now, we don't provide food for birthing partners, as you know. Now, we do have a canteen downstairs on the ground floor. There's also M&S food. We have a WH Smith, there's a Costa, a Starbucks, there's a canteen, and there's also a Subway that is open to 2 a.m. So birthing partners are welcome to obviously go and help themselves down there. You'd have to pay for those meals. Or you can also bring in some snacks and things for yourselves. So just like mum will have a little hospital, well, not a little hospital, medium hospital bag, let's say. Your birthing partners also, we encourage them to bring in a little bag with them for themselves, change of clothes if they fancy it, your hairbrush, a bit of deodorant, something to like for help freshen yourself up. And then also, some food in there too, if you want to, that's absolutely fine. Now, mums, obviously, we do feed you. You have 3 meals a day between the times you can see there on the screen. You also will have access to a trolley that is available to you for 24 hours a day. And on the trolley, there's hot drinks, there's cold drinks, there's fruit, there's biscuits, and there's also individually packaged cake slices. I would recommend the lemon drizzle cake. It's lovely. And you can access that whenever you want. We also will come around the ward into the bays with the trolley every day, once or twice a day, and we'll offer you some drinks and refreshments at the bedside as well. But again, if you want to help yourselves, then you are more than welcome to do so. And again, we will show you where the trolley is when you get there, or we'll tell you where the trolley is, or your birthing partner where it is when you get there, so you know that you can go and help yourselves. Now, talking about hospital bags, what should you pack? This kind of is like a sort of general list. You can Google it. You'll get loads of different variations, but essentially it's all the same, okay? Now, the bed spaces themselves, like I said, they're not the biggest. You will have access to a double plug socket, so please make sure you are bringing in your chargers for your smart devices, your phone, if you're bringing a tablet, all that sort of stuff. We don't have surplus chargers on the ward, so we can't lend any out because we don't have any, okay? So make sure you are bringing your smart devices in with you. Also, if you are planning on using like a tablet or something like that, I'd recommend bringing in some headphones, some earphones, whatever you use, just trying to be considerate really for everybody else in the bay. We have had complaints in the past from women who have been trying to sleep and somebody in the bay has been on their phone or watching a film really loud, without headphones, and it's keeping everyone else awake. So again, just about being considerate of other people, trying to get their rest, especially after having a baby. And also in the babies, we don't want to set the little ones off and get them all crying, because they will start crying in sync and then the whole bay will be awake. So headphones, I think if you're going to use devices like that, then please make sure you're bringing them in with you. So in terms of milk, if you are not sure what you're going to do with regards to feeding, or you're going to bottle feed your baby, what we ask you to do is bring in starter packs of milk. Okay, so starter pack is basically, it's like a 4-pack, okay, with little bottles of individually packaged milk with individually sterilised teats in the packets as well, okay? They're around 70 ml, I think they are, per bottle. The reason we ask you to bring those bottles in and not the big pre-made formula bottles is because we don't have the facilities to store that milk. So once you open a pre-packaged bottle of milk, you have to consume that, or baby has to consume that within an hour. Whatever's left behind after the hour, after you've decanted it into a bottle, whatever's left behind will need to be refrigerated if it's not been drank within an hour, okay? For a newborn baby, they're not going to drink like a litre. They're not even going to drink the 70 ml. They'll drink about 10, 15 ml, probably around that much, per feed. So even with a 70 ml bottle, you're going to be throwing quite a lot away, because that's what we have to do, unfortunately, because we can't refrigerate it in the hospital. We will have to throw any surplus away. Okay. If you're bringing in the big 500 ml bottles, some people have to bring in litre bottles. We're having to throw away a lot of milk, and people get really upset about it. And we understand it is a complete waste. It's a waste of milk, and it's a waste of money. The cost of living crisis is real, and having a baby is expensive. The last thing you want to be doing is going out spending loads of money on milk and then having to come into the hospital and then throw it away. So if you bring in the starter packs, there's going to be a lot less waste, because you're not going to be opening a big bottle. You'll open a little bottle, and then you can feed the baby from that. This is obviously, as I said, if you are not sure what you're going to do with regards to feeding, or if you're going to exclusively bottle feed your baby, please bring in the starter packs of milk. You can get them from any supermarket down a baby aisle, and there's loads of different brands out there. It's about choosing one that works for you and your family. And then if you are going to take your baby home in the car, most people do, please make sure you have the car seat ready to go. We would advise you and ask you to leave it in the car until it's time to go home, because the bed spaces, as I've said numerous times, are not the biggest. So the last thing you want to do is clog up the little space that you've got with this big bulky car seat. Okay, so when it's time to go, birthing partner can go down, grab the car seat, come back up, and then you need to put baby into that car seat. And then as staff, we will also then have a look and make sure baby is strapped into the car seat properly. So what I would recommend doing is getting a doll, getting a teddy, something like that, practicing putting the baby into the car seat or the doll into the car seat, because those harnesses can be a nightmare. And you just know, you're going to have just had a baby, tired, sleep deprived, in a bit of pain. The last thing you want to be doing is messing around trying to get your baby. It can be quite stressful into this car seat. So if you can practice now, perfect. Then you'll be a dab hand at it when it comes around to actually doing it yourselves with a real baby. And also just pointing out, practice putting the car seat into the car as well. We focus on loads on putting the baby into the car seat, but actually you also then need to put the car seat into the car. So if you can practice that as well, again, it just makes it like a much less stressful scenario. We all want to have that lovely photo of birthing partner walking down the corridor with the baby in the car seat and have fond memories of it. So this can help to reduce the stress levels, just getting to grips with those harnesses, and strapping the baby in the car seat and the car seat then into the car. If you are struggling with a car seat, you haven't got one yet, if you go into labour and you haven't got one yet, don't panic. We do have a couple that we can lend out on Ward 25. Just let us know and we can grab one for you. What we do is we would then collect it when we come to see you at home the following day, because we always will come and see you the day after discharge at home. So the community midwife will come and see you, and then we will take the car seat back to the hospital with us. Talking of which, so we will always come and see you at home the following day after discharge, and that's 7 days a week. So if you go home on a Friday, we'll see you on the Saturday. If you go home on the Saturday, we'll come and see you on the Sunday. It's always the next day. And that's the same as well if it's a bank holiday, Christmas Day, we come out and see you at home. We come and see you 365 days of the year, we'll be there. Now, the midwives who come to see you are community midwives. They're the same midwives who you may have seen in clinic whilst pregnant, so antenatally now. You probably have met quite a few, I imagine. Same midwives, same teams, and they're all based at the City of Coventry now. So we are sort of split up into different teams, and you will be allocated a team. It's the flower names, okay? You might not recognise the midwife who comes to see you. You've probably, like I said, met quite a few of them. The good thing about meeting quite a few of them, on the flip side, trying to see the positives in this, because we know it can be quite frustrating meeting different midwives all the time. But the positive of this is that hopefully you will recognise the midwife who comes to see you at home. Fingers crossed, okay? Just to point out though, any midwife that turns up to your door should be wearing a uniform like the one in the picture. Some of us wear polo shirts, but all of our uniforms are embroidered with UHCW and the NHS logo, okay? So it's stitched into the fabric of the uniforms. It's not printed on there, stamped on there, it's stitched into the uniform. We also all carry ID badges, and they should be clearly visible. If somebody knocks on your door and they do not have a visible ID badge, you are well within your rights to ask to see that badge. Just make sure whoever you're letting into your home is legit, is who they say they are. Again, it's just about being safe, being mindful, you're very vulnerable, you've just had a baby. Be careful about who is coming into your home. And if somebody isn't wearing an ID badge, or you can't see it, then ask, could you just show me who you are? Our ID badges, again, will have UHCW on there, our photograph will be on there, and our designation will be on there as well. And sometimes we will have students with us, and again, they should be wearing their uniforms, and they should also have a ID badge that is clearly visible. So, as I said, we will come and see you that first visit the day after discharge. This is called our primary visit, and it's any time really between 9 and 6 p.m. Unfortunately, we cannot give you a time because things change. The clinics are going on, and it all depends on what's going on the day, and even on the day things can change, so we can't give you a specific time, but hopefully you'll be at home on that first day after birth, or after discharge, sorry, relaxing. That's what we want you to be doing, okay? But what we do is we will do a postnatal check on mum and baby. That's basically a load of questions to make sure that your first night at home was comfortable, and answer any questions that you might have. We want to see where your baby is sleeping, and we will ask you how you're getting on. So how's the bleeding? How's the pain? If you've had any stitches, would you like us to check your stitches? How's baby been feeding? How do your breast feel? Any pains in your legs? Any headaches? Any dizziness? We will check baby's colour, we will check their umbilical cord, we'll ask you how many wees and poos they're having. Loads of questions that when you're sleep deprived, you're going to be thinking, I don't know. But if you can try and make an effort to keep a tab on these things, it will help in the long run, okay? We will go through safe sleep guidelines with you. We will discuss, registering baby's birth, registering them with the GP, and we'll ask you whether the health visitor has been in touch. It's likely that they won't have been that first time, but by the time we've seen you sort of 2 weeks after birth, hopefully the health visitor will have made contact, and hopefully you'll have an appointment where they will come out and see you at home before we discharge you. But that's essentially what we do on the first visit. It's quite a quick visit. It's just a general check-in to make sure everything's fine. The second visit will be on day 5. And that is where we do that all over again. But this time we also will weigh your baby. Now, we expect your little one to lose a small amount of weight in those first few days. It's generally just water weight, and they will then start to gain again from day 5, hopefully. Basically, if we aren't worried or panicked, please don't be worried or panicked, okay? If there is an issue, we will send you into A&E, Children's A&E, to be assessed. But if it's like, not too much, and we aren't worried, generally it's up to around 11% we expect them to lose. Anything over that, we would urge you to go and get little one assessed. It might be that there's something going on with feeding or something like that. So that's what we do. But don't be worried unless we are worried. And obviously we will let you know. And then we also do something called the heel prick test, otherwise known as the newborn blood spot screening test. And this is where we take a sample of blood, so 4 spots of blood. We prick the heel with a little lancet, take 4 spots of blood on a special bit of card. That card is then sent over to Birmingham, where it is tested in the labs. And basically they are checking out for 9 different metabolic disorders. It's basically all to do with how babies process the proteins in their milk. We also check for hypothyroidism and sickle cell and thalassemia. So these are big words. Basically, they can be quite serious conditions, but they are generally all treatable. So we offer this as something we offer to all babies, so we can identify which babies may be affected by any of these diseases. So again, then we can step forward and we can start treatment to help them. Again, we'll ask for a feeding update. How many times baby's feeding, how long is the feed, etc., etc., etc. And then we will leave you alone. And then we will tend to come back on day 10 to 14 is the third visit. Either we will come and see you at home. Sometimes we might invite you to your local family hub to a postnatal clinic, and we will again do everything all over again. This time we don't do the heel prick test. That's just on day 5. And as long as baby is at their birth weight or above their birth weight and their umbilical cord has come off, it looks clean, dry, it looks healthy, we will tend to discharge you at that time. Now, if you think to yourself, I'm not ready to be discharged yet, that's fine. Just let us know, and we can then see you a further time, a couple of times, whatever works for you, okay, depending on why you're not quite ready to be discharged. No problem. Now, when we do discharge you from maternity care, everything medical is passed over to your GP. So we will ask you, have you registered baby's birth? Have you registered them with the GP? And has the health visitor been involved? Because the health visitor then will take over everything to do with your baby, and they will continue to care for your little one or be the point of care for your little one until your little one reaches the age of 5. So you might have heard of the Red Book. The health visitor will want that Red Book every time you see them, and they will come and see you at home. usually around 2 weeks after birth, and they will talk to you about safe sleep guidelines. We're going to come on to that very soon. And they will also give you details with regards to vaccination schedules, weigh-in clinics, all that sort of stuff all goes over to the health visitor. Okay, but everything medical will go over to the GP. Now, we always will, like I said, tell you when we're going to come and see you at home. If you are expecting a visit and it's got to like 4 o'clock and nobody's turned up, please don't panic, but please give us a call. Whether you are in Coventry or Rugby obviously depends on which number you call. If you can't get through, and this is quite a common thing, if you can't get through, you're waiting for a visit, you can't get through on the phone, please phone Ward 25. And again, we will give you a discharge pack. In the discharge pack, there's loads of information. It's going to explain to you how to register baby's birth. It'll talk to you about safe sleep guidelines. There'll be a mothers and others guide in there, and there will be loads of phone numbers in there. Phone Ward 25 postnatal ward. There is somebody there all the time, and we can then direct you or direct your query to the appropriate teams and get a midwife out to see you. Generally, if nobody has been to visit, it's what we call a missed visit, and that is a human error on our part. We have to physically go onto a calendar and schedule appointments, schedule visits. I was doing visits on Friday just gone, and my laptop ran out of battery. So when I got home, I had to upload my documentation and I had to upload those scheduled visits. If I'd forgotten to do it, if I'd missed somebody off, whatever, things happen, then that would have been a missed visit the next day or whenever they were supposed to have the next visit. That is human error on our part, and it does happen. So be mindful of it. Like I said, if you are expecting a visit by around 4 o'clock, nobody's turned up, give us a call so we can rectify that and get a midwife out to see you as soon as possible. Okay, I need to take a breather. So, on to mental health then. This is just a sort of touching on mental health. We just want to say, at the end of the day, having a baby is a huge event. It's a huge life event. Whether it's your first baby, your second baby, your 10th baby, every single little one that you have turns your whole world upside down. And I don't think there's anything that can really prepare you for that. It changes your life in ways that you never realised or thought possible. Obviously, every baby is a blessing, but there are different feelings, thoughts, emotions that come with that baby, will come with that pregnancy, come with those the thinking about the future. And actually, after you've had your little one, it can feel a little bit unsettling. Some women are really excited about it. Some women are really scared and anxious about it. Some people don't know how to feel about it. They might then feel guilty about it. Every which way you may feel is absolutely fine. It's justifiable. We understand everyone is different. There is no right and there is no wrong way to feel. But around 5 days after birth, our hormones, ladies, they take a big crash. They go right in your boots and things can start to feel a little bit even more intense, okay? This essentially is what we call the baby blues, and it tends to be a hormonal thing. The main thing about baby blues, though, is after a few days, that sort of feeling of dread and fogginess, it lifts, it clears, and you start to feel more like your normal self as the days progress. But for some people, that feeling, it doesn't go away. That doom and gloom feeling, fogginess, brain fogginess, feeling a bit spaced out, or just not really connecting with their baby or connecting with the world, that feeling, sometimes it doesn't go away, and actually it can become further amplified. And for some women, it can actually really affect their day-to-day living, their day-to-day life, and even affect the way that they bond with their baby and interact with their children, with their newborn baby. This actually then could potentially be something a bit more serious than the baby blues, and this is something that we would call a perinatal mental health problem. Now, a perinatal mental health problem can actually develop, anytime from throughout pregnancy all the way up until baby is sort of the age of 1, But categorically, we know that the baby blues, perinatal mental health issues, they sort of can correlate, and they can all sort of occur mainly around the immediate postnatal period. Not always, but sometimes, or quite a few times. So it's just about being mindful of that. Now, we will only see you for a snippet of the day. We see you for a very small amount of the time of the day. And, believe it or not, some women can be really good at putting on a bit of a mask, pretending everything's fine because you don't want to let on really that you're feeling a certain kind of way for various reasons. We've experienced it where women haven't been forthcoming with their moods because they're scared of being judged. They're scared that we're going to take their baby away from them. They're scared, of repercussions. We aren't there to judge anybody. We are not there to judge you. We are not there to take your baby off you. We want to help you, okay? And we work really closely with other mental health services within the local area. We can streamline and signpost referrals to those services to get the support that you need if we know about it. If we don't know about it, actually sometimes it becomes too late, and we never want that to happen. We want to intervene as soon as we can to give you the best chance. And also just, timely referrals are going to be beneficial to everybody, yourselves, your partners, and your babies. So it's really just about being aware. It's about being open, transparent, having good open communication with us healthcare professionals, but also with your partners, because we are hopefully relying on partners to be forthcoming with information if mums aren't ready to do so. So we want your partners to be aware, your friends and your family to be aware. If you notice that mum is becoming withdrawn, if she's not her normal usual self, if she's having like sort of not mood swings, but it's things are a bit of a roller coaster and you're worried, you have any concerns, doubts at all, we urge you to come forward, talk to your GP, talk to your midwife, talk to your health visitor, so we can get you the support that you need, okay? And just to point out that we're talking about this with regards to mums, dads can also develop perinatal mental health problems. For mums, it tends to be hormonal, maybe some sort of traumas and stuff like that. And you can be triggered literally by anything. Something that might seem really minor and insignificant to me might be so triggering for the next person. And again, there is no right, there is no wrong. We are all individuals. But dads can also experience things that can trigger them. For dads, a lot of it is sort of about loss of control. Something might have happened during labour that they felt really, not in control of, and they struggle with that because essentially you're trusting the two most valuable things in your life, your partner and your baby, with us. Essentially, we are strangers, and that can be really hard for some dads to deal with. We are there to support dads as well. We are not just a women-centred service, we are a family-centred service. And with regards to dads, we also work really closely with Fatherhood Solutions. Fatherhood Solutions are a support group, essentially, who are for our dads, and they provide an amazing service, an incredible service throughout Coventry and Rugby, where they solely focus on dads. They have support groups, like literally physical support groups, and peers that you can actually talk to, a bit of like sort of counselling, a bit of like one-to-one. They have meetups where you can take baby if you want to and go. They have like walks around Memorial Park. You can even go before babies are even born. And it's about having this support group just purely for our dads, for the partners. And they are brilliant. They are worth their weight in gold, but people aren't always so much aware of them. If you are interested in learning more about Fatherhood Solutions, have a look on social media, but also in the city of Coventry, in the waiting room, if you look where the TV is, there on the wall there by the TV, there are also some posters and QR codes there. You are more than welcome to have a scan and have a look and see what's going on, and go along to any of their sessions. Scott, who runs Fatherhood Solutions, he's really, really keen to get the word out as much as possible, because they are a wonderful service. It's just that people don't always know so much about them. So that is the support that we do have out there for dads, because we know it's really important that we are supporting our partners, our dads, as well as our mums. So, as I've said, it's totally okay not to feel okay. We're not there to judge you. We just want to help you. So please let us, and together we get through these things as a team. Okay. So, pelvic floor. This is something a bit more light-hearted. So, believe it or not, everybody has a pelvic floor. I got asked that before. Does my husband have a pelvic floor? Yes, he does. So, pelvic floor, pelvic health. We want to bring awareness to pelvic health and what we can do to support our pelvic floor. And the government have basically had put a lot of money basically into pelvic health. They're really driving the education with regards to pelvic health. And we're really fortunate at UHCW to have a team that are dedicated to pelvic health. They have their own website and they also have their own webinars. If you're interested in learning more about them and their webinars, that you can learn about pelvic floor, pelvic health, what you can do, what they can do, check out our UHCW maternity website. In the tab on the menu, they have their own specific page, pelvic health. Have a look on there. It will there'll be a hyperlink to take you directly to their workshops. I would urge you to sign up to some of them just to learn a bit, because it's really important that we are supporting and prioritising our pelvic health. So for those of you that aren't sure what I'm talking about, the pelvic floor basically relates to hammock-like muscles that support your internal organs. Now, as your baby grows, obviously they're getting heavier, so the pressure on the pelvic floor increases, and your pelvic floor can become damaged. Just like if you were to I don't go to the gym, my husband does, but he goes to the gym, he does weights, okay, to support and grow his muscles. We need to be exercising, doing exercises to support and help to train our pelvic floor, because essentially it is a muscle, okay? The more we train them, the stronger that it's going to become. What we want to do by strengthening your pelvic floor muscles is to reduce the risk of prolapse and also incontinence, both urinal and fecal. Okay, so it is pretty important that we're doing this. Ideally, we would like you to be doing your pelvic floor exercises prior to pregnancy. We know that's not the case. So hopefully this will give you a little bit of a nudge to start doing them if you haven't already. Maybe you might even be doing them now. But if not, please do start to do them. But definitely after you've had your little one, when you feel ready to start doing it, please do. Again, to help to reduce that risk of prolapse, reduce that risk of incontinence, and help to build your pelvic floor back up to where it once was, okay? Now, the pelvic health team have asked me to show you a little video. This, again, relates to men and women, so, you know, it's something you guys can bond over. But it's going to just explain about pelvic floor exercises, how we would recommend doing them, and why it's so important, okay? So, next video. Here we go. Yeah, so if any of that rang true with you, then just let your community teams know and we can do a referral for you now. Or if you feel that it's something that you would benefit from postnatally, again, absolutely, you know, let us know and we can sort that out for you. Also, if you were to be one of those ladies that suffer, oh, I don't really want to like go into detail about it too much, but say women who suffer a third or fourth degree tear, so extensive tearing, it's quite uncommon, but it does happen. Those women would automatically be referred to the pelvic health team. Again, this is so that they can help support those ladies with a bit of like physiotherapy to help bring those pelvic floor muscles sort of back together and protect the integrity of them after something like a 3rd or 4th degree tear. Okay, so it's something that we would do automatically. Now, changes, I hope you've all had your dinner. Changing nappies, just quickly going to show you this. So we usually get chased down the corridor by dad with a nappy in his hand saying, is this normal? This is what is normal for a breastfed baby, okay? For a bottle-fed baby, it's still pretty much the same. Things might move through the system a little bit quicker because they are technically they're going to be getting a bit more milk because they're being bottle-fed rather than breastfed. Breastfed babies have to work for their feed a bit more. But essentially, this is what nappies in those early days look like. So initially, it will start off, their stool will start off really thick like tar, like really dark in colour. This is what we call meconium. Okay, and it occurs within the first 1 or 2 days. It's basically sort of red blood cells, skin cells, mucus, anything that they've ingested inside of mum's tummy. It will start to obviously be excreted shortly after birth when they start feeding. And it's really sticky, it sticks to the skin. We recommend just getting lots of cotton wool, warm water, saturate the area of the bottom with the water and then gently wipe it away. Don't scrub at it or anything like that. Their skin is very sensitive, so don't scrub away at it. Just gently wipe it away with warm water and it will eventually come off, but it can take a little bit of elbow grease to get it off there. Within a couple of days, it should start to change colour as the milk starts to work its way through the digestive system. So around 3 to 4 days after birth, it should change to this brown, greeny colour. Eventually, then a few days later, it will turn to a yellow, orangey colour, and then it should settle on a lovely mustard colour with little white seeds in it. And that is what is normal. Now, anything that mum eats will go directly to your baby through your breast milk. So if you find that little one is having explosive nappies, we hear this also quite a lot, just be mindful. Just remember, think, what did I eat last night? You know, things like garlic, onions, spices, these things will affect your baby's bowel movements. Okay, so be mindful if little one is showing their signs that they are uncomfortable, if they're having more frequent bowel movements, or then essentially it could be related to what you have eaten. For a bottle-fed baby, like I said, it is pretty similar, but things can move through maybe a little bit quicker. Also, the baby's stool could be thicker in consistency, and sometimes they can appear a little bit green, and that's because formula milk is fortified with iron, which can turn the stool green. If you've suffered with low anemia, low iron in pregnancy, and you had to take those iron tablets, you might understand what I'm talking about. It's exactly the same for a newborn baby or a baby that's formula fed, bottle fed. So that is what is normal. It's also normal for little girls to experience small streaks of blood in their nappies in the first week or so, and this is mum's hormones coming out via the breast milk to baby, and baby is then obviously, it's like almost like a mini period. If you are concerned about anything that you find in the nappy, you're not quite sure about it, absolutely save the nappy, take a photo, show one of us, midwife, healthcare professional, and we can advise that everything is as it should be. So a little video again, here we go, a little bit about parent craft. So this is how we would recommend changing a baby's nappy. Now in the video, she talks about the best place to change a baby's nappy is always going to be on the floor. What I think they're trying to get at is don't leave the baby on a changing table or something like that at height if you are going to use one of those. If you're changing your baby's nappy on a changing table, even like I've seen people change the babies on napping on the sofa, like with one of the what they call the mats. That's fine, but don't leave your little one unattended. If you need to go and get something that you've forgotten, then take the baby with you or put the baby on the floor and then go and get whatever it is you need. Ideally, make sure you've got everything with you before you start, but you don't need to be on the floor to change the baby's nappy, especially if you have had a cesarean section or something like that. It's going to be quite difficult. So I think that's what they're getting at, but that is the recommendation in this video. Anyway, I'll show you it. You can make your own minds up. Here we go. There we go. So just to reiterate, if you do need to get anything that you've forgotten, then make sure you take your baby with you or put your baby in a safe space. Never leave them unattended at height, just in case. You know, it'll be they'll decide to roll over, and then that's quite dangerous. So don't do that. Okay, so this is the slide I was telling you about at the beginning. This bathing one doesn't work when I tried to play it on real time. So in the email that I sent you at the very beginning, I also sent you the same one last week that has the document attached. There is a link to this video that includes the recommendation of how often and how you should bath your baby. So please do watch that when you get a chance. But I'll show you the next one. So this is umbilical cord care. What we would do, how we would recommend caring for the umbilical stump after your baby goes home. Here we go. Eventually. Yeah, so if you do notice any of those signs of infections, just cut the midwives out. We used to come along and swab them, and then it would just prolong getting treatment because we'd take the swabs back to the hospital, they go to the labs, and then it would take about 3 days to get the results back. So just cut the midwives out. We are the middlemen. Go straight to the GP. Now, if your little one is not yet registered with a GP and you think they need to be seen by a doctor, just phone the GP practice, let them know the situation. They will see your little one under your own registration as an emergency, but we would urge you to register them as soon as you can, really, with the GP surgery so they've got their own little personalised registration. Talking of which, so you have 6 weeks after birth, 42 days to register your little one's birth. It is a legal requirement, and if you don't do it, unfortunately, you will get fined. It used to be about £1,000, so it's a minimum of £1,000. As long as your little one has been born, you can make the appointment. Now, we will give you, like I said, a discharge pack that has details, explains how to do this, how to make the appointment. You also you could just Google Coventry registering baby's birth and it will come up. Basically, you go onto a website, pick an appointment that is suitable for you within those 6 weeks, and then you can take your little one along if you want to. Or if you are married and only one of you needs to go, that's fine. If you're not married and you want dad's name on the birth certificate, then you both need to go, okay? And it costs £12.50 per birth certificate as well. That is a requirement. They're not free, okay? So bear that in mind as well. You do have to pay for the birth certificate for a paper copy, and you'll need that for things like passport applications and stuff like that. So it is important to get a birth certificate, and it is £12.50 per birth certificate. So if you're having twins or triplets, for example, you'd have to pay obviously the multiple charge there for the birth certificate. So, oh, we're almost at the end now. On to the next one. So this is gonna play? No. Okay, that's fine. Sometimes it just starts playing randomly. It scares me. So I'm just going to introduce you quickly to the Lullaby Trust. I'm conscious of the time. The Lullaby Trust are a company who specialise in keeping babies safe at home. And basically what they try to do with their work is reduce the risk of SIDS, which is otherwise known as sudden infant death syndrome. Now, it's not the nicest thing to think about. It's definitely not the nicest thing to end the session on, but it is so important that we are thinking about what we can do to reduce that risk, because SIDS occurs for reasons that we still aren't fully we don't fully understand. We're not fully sure of why it occurs, but we do know there are things that we can do to help to reduce that risk. So the Lullaby Trust put together the ABCs of safe sleep guidelines, this video, really nice music, but a very important message. So do take the time to read what's on the screen. Now, I would urge you to get further information with regards to the Lullaby Trust and Safe Sleep Guidelines. You can find their email address, their website, lullabytrust.org.uk. They are also on social media, and we do share on our Facebook page, which is Maternity Services at UHCW. We share information from the Lullaby Trust quite regularly. So if you don't follow us, have a look and follow us on Facebook. We're trying to get an Instagram, we're trying to get a TikTok at the minute. We've just got Facebook, so do follow us and give us a like. And yeah, have a look at their website, because they have infographics, they have things that you can actually download or screenshot, print off, put into a binder, put into your baby's nursery. They are the experts in keeping little ones safe, and they keep on top of the recommendations, so they are the people to refer to. So I'm going to show you the video of the ABCs of safe sleep guidelines to give you some do's, some don'ts, and some tips and some tricks. Here we go. There we go. So finally, just wanted to introduce you to the Real Birth Company if you aren't aware of who they are. They are a company that we've been working with now for a few years, who basically provide the families who are booked with us at UHCW with a digital package with regards to antenatal education. This program, or the course that we've done, you've sat through my presentations this week and last week, all in conjunction with the Real Birth Company. We worked together in tandem, basically to give you information. So basically what you can do if you were interested in learning some more bits and pieces at your own will, is you scan the QR code. It will take you through to a registration page where you input your details, you personalise on a dashboard to make to generate and populate the program, which will be then personalised to you and your pregnancy. And you can work your way through it at will. It's free for you to do it because we paid for it, so you don't have to. You can access it from any smart device for as long as you want, whenever you want. And it basically splits up education into around 10 different modules. So if you're sort of at home and you've got a spare hour, not really sure what to do, twiddling your thumbs a little bit, it might be a Sunday evening, had a nice bath, get your phone out, go onto the Real Birth Company app that hopefully you'll sign up for, and then you can like have a little read about labour and birth and how it works and how the hormones work and what your body does and the physiology behind it. You can dip out in and out of it as much as you want to. And again, it's just something as an extra added support to prepare you for the journey you're about to invoke on. Your partners are also welcome to download this and use your registration. Your families can also get involved too. And one of the good features about this is if English is not your first language, it's also translatable into lots of different languages. You just simply select it when you then open up the registration page. And it also, we have a BSL version as well, so British Sign Language too, which is really exciting. It's one of the first of its kind actually. So it's accessible for lots of families. And like I said, it is free for you to use. If you are watching today's session on your phone and you are interested in the Real Birth Company, if you go onto our maternity website, UHCW maternity website, go to the parent education tab under the menu, and there is a hyperlink that you can click on directly that will take you to the registration page, and you can do it from there. We have come to the end. I'm sorry we ran over a little bit, but as you know, my name is Katie. Those are my email addresses. You do have my email anyway from me sending out the calendar invites today. If I can do anything for you, if you have any questions today, tomorrow, next week, next month, do feel free to get in touch. Please also do check out our Eventbrite. You are more than welcome to join any of our other sessions. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Good luck. We look forward to welcoming you to our hospital soon, and take care. Thank you.